Hello everyone, today we're learning mציעא daf chof tes. We're going to start chof ches on the base, the last line. Ma yeh bedomim, Rav Tarfon omer mishtamesh. So in the Mishnah we learned that if you have an item that doesn't bring any income in, you should sell it. And what do you do with the money? We had the machlokas. Rav Tarfon says you're allowed to use it and therefore you chayav b'charuson, and Rabbi Akiva says you're not allowed to use it and therefore Imavdu eino chayav b'charuson. Says the Gemara. Ad kan lo pligi the whole machlokas between Rav Tarfon and Rabbi Akiva ela kishnishtamesh b'hem. When you use the meaning that if you could use the money, therefore you chayav b'charuson or not. Aval lo nishtamesh b'hem, if you're not allowed to use the money, Imavdu, if it got lost, potter. You'll be potter for it. Leima tavet yuv to Rabbi Yosef. L'chor it's a shaila on the din of Rabbi Yosef. The itma that we learn shoyme aveda, someone who's guarding aveda, Rabba Omar kashem mechinam, because doesn't get paid for it. Rabbi Yosef Omar kashem socha, and the reason why is because it's oisek b'mitzvah. If Ani comes to him to ask him for tzedakah, he could say, I'm busy doing a different mitzvah, oisek b'mitzvah, potter bin a mitzvah. So that's a schar. That's why it's a shoyme socha. So the in the Mishnah, it's a kash on Rabbi Yosef because it's mashma bein Rabbi Akiva, bein Rav Tarfon. If you're not allowed to use the money, you're shemechina. And here it says, and Rabbi Yosef says that you're shemesacha. Omelecha Rabbi Yosef, bignei ve'aveda de kula anu lo pligi de chayev. Really, bein Rabbi Akiva, bein Rav Tarfon, there's no machloikes, gnei ve'aveda yechayev like a shemesacha, like he holds, because shema aveda the shemesacha. Ki pligi the whole machloikes Rav Tarfon and Rabbi Akiva is ba'ointzim the shoyl. The ointzim of a shoyl, someone who borrows an item that is chai ba'ointzim, is this guy chai or not? Rav Tarfon sova shorlei rabbono lishtamushe begavayu, since he allowed to use the money, avel shoyl alayu ani chai ba'ointzim. Rabbi Akiva sova lo shorlei rabbono lishtamushe begavayu, you can't use this money. Hilkach lo have a shoyl alayu ani no chai ba'ointzim, beino chenami fagneva va'aveda, you are chayev. Says the Gemara, Yochi lefikoch do Omer Rabbi Akiva lomali. In the Mishnah it says Rabbi Akiva oima lo yishtamesh b'hem, you shouldn't use the money. Lefikoch imov do in chai b'acharusam. Therefore, if they lost, you know chai b'acharus. Says the Gemara as follows: Iomad bishlem v'agneva v'avedu de pligi. The whole machloikes between Rav Tarfon and Rabbi Akiva, or you chai b'agneva v'avedu or not. It makes sense. So Rabbi Akiva said that you're not allowed to use them lefikoch, and therefore why that extra lefikoch? To tell you, you might have put Rabbi Yosef that even if you're not allowed to use it, you're still chayav b'gneva v'aveda like Rabbi Yosef. That's what it's coming to tell you. Lefikoch. Now that he said that you can't use it, to tell you that's the extra thing that Rabbi Akiva adds on, tell you can't use it, and therefore you're shemechinam, and you're not like Rabbi Yosef that you're shemesacha. If everyone holds the gneva v'aveda and the whole machloikes keep pligi points in the shoyel. Why is Rabbi Akiva saying therefore? This is what it should have said in the Mishnah. Rabbi Akiva you shouldn't use it. If I can't use it, make it taste I should be chai be'ointzim. Why does it say lefikoch in Rabbi Akiva's loshen in the Mishnah? So it's a kash on Rabbi Yosef. Says the Rabbi Yosef, no. Mishum lefikoch der Tarfon. Really, the lefikoch der Akiva is not needed, but the lefikoch der Tarfon is needed, and we're going to see in a second why. And that's why Rabbi Akiva also used the lashon of lefikoch. But really, it's obvious the lefikoch of Rabbi Akiva. Says the Gemara, lefikoch der Tarfon lomali. Enochinami, why did Rabbi Tarfon say that you're allowed to use it and therefore you chayev? Well, why that? Therefore, obviously, then you chayev. Ochi karma. This is the chiddush. Came in the shor lira bonish the mushe begavayu since. Rabbanon let you use this money. You might have thought that only if you actually used it, that's when he becomes a shoyl. Says Rav Tarfon, no, even if you never used them, just because you have the right to use them, that's enough of a reason why you chayav ba'ointzim. And Mimele Rabbi Akiva also used the Lashon Lefikoch, but Enochinami, the Lashon of Lefikoch or Rabbi Akiva is extra. Said the Gemara Kasha on that, how can you tell me that the whole Machloikis between Rataf and Rabbi Akiva is talking about by Oinzim, but clearly it says in the Mishnah Ovdu, and that's where the Machloikis is, and Aveda is not Oinzim, it's Gneva Aveda, it's a lower stage. Said the Gemara Teretz, Kedarabba. The Omar Rabba about something else. Later on in Boba Mציעא, when it says Nignevu, it means Belistim Mizuyim, and when it says Ovdu, Shetobes Finosa Bayom, and those are the type of Agneva of Aveda of Oinzim. So also by us in the Mishnah, when it says Ovdu, it means Shetovis Finosa Bayom, Aveda of Oines, and that's the Machloikot Shartaf and Rabbi Akiva of Ovdu. Yeah, the Shaila, Yichai Oinzim or not, but Shenesocha, you for sure are, because of Proto de Rav Yosef. Omar Rav Yudom Shmuel, Halacha Rav Tarfon, that you're allowed to use the money and therefore Yichai Oinzim. Biyad Rechova Avalu Anizuzu Diatmi. In the hands of Rechova, he had money of Yisomim that he was keeping on it. Also, like Rav Yosef, so Rechova came in front of Rav Yosef. Am I allowed to use this money until I give it back to the Yisomim when they become old? Allah is like Rav Tafin. They're allowed to use the money of Aveda. So also here, you're allowed to use the money of Yisomim. Did we not learn on that? Then you could use the money. If you found the Aveda and you needed to sell it and now you have money, then you're allowed to use the money because you worked hard, you have to sell this item. If you find cash, who just picked it up and took it home, you're not allowed to use the money even if you're a tarfet. And this money of Yisoimim that Rechova has in his hands, because he didn't do any turcha, he got cash straight away, and therefore he shouldn't be allowed to use it, even though he passed in Akrav Tarfin. So the Gemara, Amalei, so Rabbi Yosef told Rechova, Zil, go, lo shafku lidashulach. They didn't let me be matter for you to use the money because they made this chilik, and therefore this mois of Yisoimim you're not allowed to use. Said the Mishnah, Motzos Sfarim, someone found books, and normally they were like a Sefer Torah of our days, they were like in a long cloth rolled up. 130 days you should read from in it because it's good for the book to be open. If it doesn't know how to read, you should just roll them. You shouldn't read something they've never learned before because then you ayin a lot and it's harder to learn and you might damage a book. Don't read to people because you could damage it as well. If you found a clothes menara, you should shake it once in 30 days. And you should spread it out, hang it up, for the benefit of the clothes. Not for his covet that it's, oh, look how nice this expensive carpet I have on the wall. Clay kesef, if someone found silverware, the clay nechoshes coppenware, mishtamish ben etzorkon, avaloi l'shochkon. You should use it. What's good for them to use it? They shouldn't get old and damaged, but not to damage it. Clay zov, clay schuchis, goldware and glass. Lo yigaben, don't touch it because you could just damage it. Achi over Elio, until Elio comes. Now, for the mission, another thing. Motzo sakoi kupo v'chol dova she'enun darkelito. If you found someone's a mechubadik person and he found something that's not bakovadik for him to take, Aryeh is not mechuv ashavas aveda in that item. I'm going to see in the Gemara about that. Says the Gemara Mashmul, amoitzit tefillin b'shuk. Someone who finds tefillin in the market, some domain with menicham na'alta, straight away you sell it and you keep the money for the owner. Mosi Ravina asks the kasha. Motzos Farim, Koribay Mechelish Loishino, Vimerdeli Press Koilelo, and Gololin Imshon Memo Manichim Loi. In our mission it says that by books you should keep them and you should open them, but it doesn't say you should sell them. And here you're telling me tefillin you should sell. Oma Abaye, tefillin Bei Bar Chabu, Mishkach Shchi, Sfarim Lo Shchi. Says Abaye Teretz, it's not like our days. It says Abaye in those days, tefillin is easy to get. Just go to a person, Bei Bar Chabu, who makes tefillin, just buy a new pair. See if you found tefillin, sell it, and then the person will just buy a new pair. But books, in those days when books, they didn't have printing houses, and all the books were written by hand, it was much harder to get hold of. And therefore, if you find books, you have to keep it to give it back to the owner. Because if you sell it, the owner might not be able to buy a new book. And nowadays, it's much harder to buy tefillin than to buy a book. Said the Gemara, someone who borrows a Sefer Torah from his friend, shouldn't lend it out to someone else. You should open it with Korboy. You shouldn't learn something you've never learned before. Two people shouldn't read together because they could pull it and each one to his side and tear it. Someone who gives a deposit to his friend to look after a Sefer Torah, every 12 months he has to be goylelit. You open and you're reading it. And if you're opening it just for your own benefit, also you're not allowed to. If it's a new Sefer Torah every 30 days, once in 12 months. Both a new one, both an old one, only once in 12 months, and soon we're going to see what the difference between Tanakama and Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is. We just learned that Sefer Torah Ma'ir Sefer Torah. Why is this a chiddush about Sefer Torah? If you borrow Sefer Torah, you shouldn't lend it out to someone else. Afilu kol mininami. Anything you borrow, you're not allowed to lend to someone else. Domar Reb Shimon Lakish, Kanchon Rebbe, from this mission on over here in Maseches Gittin, that we learn, by the way, a din of the Eina Shoel Rasha La'ashir. If you borrowed something, you can't lend it out to someone else. If you rent something to someone, you can't rent it out to someone else. So why is there a special chiddush about Sefer Torah? And any item of the din is the same. So the Gemara, Sefer Torah, it's tzrichele. Now the tema, you might have thought in Sefer Torah there's a special color. Why? That what is a person using a Sefer Torah? To read the Torah. So if someone lent me a Sefer Torah, he's happy that I should borrow it out to someone else, that he should mikayim a mitzvah. Komash malon. That, no. Even a Sefer Torah where it's a mitzvah, you're not allowed to do that. You should open it and read in it. If someone lent you a Sefer Torah, why did he borrow it, not to use it? That's not the chiddush. The chiddush is what it says afterwards. That you shouldn't read something you've never learned before. Someone who deposited a Sefer Torah by his friend, you open it and read in it. So the Gemara, why are you reading in it? It's a deposit to keep on it, not to read in it. But two and more, if you open it for yourself, it's asa. You said you're allowed to read. So you're allowed to read in it or you're not allowed to read in it. What's going on? So the Gemara, if while it needs to be rolled, you want to read something, then muta. In Bishviloi Pascha, the only reason you open this for yourself, also you're not allowed to do so. Said the Gemara, Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, what's the difference if both hold 12 months? Said the Gemara, let's change it. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, a new one, an old one, they have three shittas. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov holds a new Sefer Torah, old Sefer Torah, you should open it once in 30 days. Tanakama holds a new or old, you open it once in 12 months. And Sumchus holds a new one once in 30 days, and an old one once in 12 months. And I have a kasha, you shouldn't read a parsha and do chazor. I shouldn't read in it a parsha and be mitargem. Shouldn't open more than 3 pages at once. You shouldn't read 3 people in the Sefer Torah. Again, in one place. 3 people is a problem. So is 2 allowed or not? Before in the Bryce it said 2 is forbidden, and here it says 2 is allowed, 3 is not allowed. If the reading in one parsha, in one Inyan, you're not allowed to read in the same parsha because each one's going to want to get closer and pull it. But if it's b'shnei inyanim, each one has his page open. It's the sector is open, and one's reading here, one's reading here. So it's less of a chashash to get a pull because each one has his space, and therefore two people are allowed. And when we said two people are not allowed, it's talking about in the same Indian, because they might try to get close and pull it. Motoksus minaro achas l'shloim shiyoim. Something more lememra de niro shaking it malilo. It's good for it. But Amar Rabbi Yochanan Misha yesh lo gardiun b'toich beisoi. Someone who has a tailor in his hand in his house, yinar ksusu b'chol yoyim. He should shake his cloak every day. Basically, Rabbi Yochanan is saying it's not good to shake the cloak every day. Only if you have a tailor in your house to always make you new clothes, because it destroys the clothes. And here we're saying that if you found something, you should shake it. So is it good to shake it, or is it not good to shake it? Says Gemara, Amri b'chol yoyim koshilo. If you shake it every day, it's bad for the cloak. Echad l'shloshim yoyim. If you do once in 30 days, ma'alilo, it's good for it. Ibo yisayim, another teretz lo kashya. Ho b'chad, ho b'trei. If one person shakes it, it's good for it. If two people shake it, it's bad for it because each one pulls. Ibo yisayim lo kashya. Ho b'yodo, ho b'chutra. If you do it by hand, it's good for it. If you do it with a stick, it's bad for it. Ibo yisayim lo kashya. Ho b'da'amra, ho b'dikisna. Depends if it's from wool or it's made out of flax. Because wool, it's not good because it gets stretched and torn. That's a teret if shaking good or not. We had a few ways how to be mitaret that kasha. Now once we said this din of Rabbi Yochanan, we're saying similar dinim of Rabbi Yochanan about their cheretz. Amar Rabbi Yochanan kisa de chirshin. It's better to drink a cup of witchcraft, and not a water that's lukewarm. And this is not said only if it's from a metal keli. If it's from earthenware you're drinking, less than but there's no problem. And even when we said that's a problem to drink water that's lukewarm from klimatochos they wasn't boiled. If it was boiled until the end and now it cooled down and it's lukewarm, less than but there's no problem. They didn't put any wood in, like asovim or tavlin, like pepper or something, mint they put in the drink. If you put in it some mint or some tavlin, less than but there's no problem in drinking this lukewarm water. Rabbi Yochanan, another din der cheretz. Someone who got Yerusha lots of money and he wants to lose it all. No one really wants to do it, right? But it's a way of saying don't do this, the following. What shouldn't you do, or what should he do if he wants to lose all the money? He should wear bigdei pishton, and use glass cups and cutlery, etc., and plates. And rent workers and don't check over them that they're doing the work. Just say, oh, go do my job over there, and don't check on them. And the Gemara explains, it's talking about bekitna flax remiso. That's very expensive and gets ruined quickly. A very expensive glass like crystal. It's talking about to give a job to poiling without checking after them when they're leading the oxes in the field and not to look after them. It's very easy for them to break the structure of these oxes are connected together and the churish field. If you're not there, they're going to break it and you're going to lose a lot of money. And this is a derech eretz thing, and it's a very lemaisa. You can see it nowadays. You get workers, and if you're not on top of them, they don't really work very good. Thank you very much. Everyone should have a very good day.